What if the California gold rush wasn't really about gold? Beneath the glitter was a dark, desperate world most people never talk about. And the real story might shock you. Millions dreamed of riches, but few ever struck gold. The California gold rush was painted as a time of fortune, but the human cost, forgotten. Hidden stories of betrayal, starvation, violence, and survival are buried under history's golden surface. Watch until the end, because this one will change how you see American history. Year 1848. One man finds a sparkle in the water. It started with a shimmer in the water. January 24th, 1848. A carpenter named James W. Marshall was supervising the construction of a sawmill near the tiny settlement of Coloma, California, when something caught his eye in the riverbed of the American River. He reached down. It looked strange. Shiny, heavy, gold. Marshall didn't yell, didn't cheer. He just stared. Could it really be? He and John Sutter, the mill owner, tried to keep it quiet. But you know how secrets move, like wildfire, especially when gold is involved. Within months, the news traveled first to San Francisco, then to New York, and then across countries and oceans. Gold was found in California. That single spark triggered the largest human migration in American history. But what most people don't realize is only a handful got rich, and almost nobody talks about the ones who suffered, the ones who lost everything, or the lives that were destroyed. Let's talk about their side of the story. By 1849, San Francisco exploded. A town of 1,000 people turned into chaotic madness. Boats from China, South America, Australia, Europe docked in the bay, their crews abandoning ship and marching inland, chasing dreams. They were known as the 49ers. They came with pickaxes and pans, but most came with hope. Hope was the real currency, but what they found wasn't golden. First, there were no roads, no towns, no stores, no law. The gold fields? Often 6-hour treks through brutal wilderness. No shelter, no clean water. And food? One egg could cost $3, the equivalent of $100 today. People worked until their hands bled. They panned freezing rivers for flakes. They fought off bears, mosquitoes, malnutrition. They built makeshift tents out of animal hides and old wagon cloth. Nights were cold and dead silent until the fights broke out. Miners turned on each other. Claims were stolen at gunpoint. If someone even hinted there was gold nearby, strangers with rifles showed up. And that's when something darker began. You won't believe what came next. Behind the Russian headlines, a secret economy was forming. Here's the twist. Many of those striking gold weren't the miners. It was the merchants, the bakers, the barbers, the gamblers, the ones who sold to the dreamers. One man, Sam Brannan, wasn't even a prospector, but he made a fortune selling picks, shovels, and pans at prices he set. He cornered the market. He became California's first millionaire, never lifted a single nugget of gold. Meanwhile, entire groups were being used as labor, many under brutal, unpaid conditions. Thousands of Chinese immigrants, lured by the promise of Gold Mountain, were treated like second-class citizens. They were taxed simply for being foreign, barred from owning land, attacked, occasionally lynched. Indigenous tribes? Even worse. Between 1848 and 1870, over 100,000 Native Americans died in California, many at the hands of settlers driven by greed. Their land was seized, women sold into slavery. And yet, history calls it the Golden Era. But this next part, almost no one talks about. They were outnumbered 20-1. Men would pay in gold just to speak with a woman. Some women found fortune, but not how you'd expect. They opened inns, cleaned tents, cooked, sewed, and did laundry, charging 10 times normal rates. But others used, abused, bought and sold. Sexual violence in the mining camps was rampant, and there were no laws. Justice didn't exist. One survivor, Lucinda, wrote in her journal, "At night, I sang by the fire with a pistol on my lap. Not because I liked music, but to stay awake so the men wouldn't come too close." A chilling line from someone just trying to live. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable. By 1854, the rivers had run dry. The easy gold, the stuff lying on the surface, gone. And now, large companies were moving in with machines, crushing rock, damaging waterways, choking the land with mercury runoff. The small prospector had no chance. Thousands went bankrupt overnight. Others tried heading back home, but couldn't afford the trip. Whole camps became ghost towns. One miner wrote, "We came here chasing a promise, but I've buried 3 friends and haven't seen gold in months." Hunger set in. Loans went unpaid. Suicide rates soared. Some turned to robbery or joined roaming gangs. And back east, the newspaper still told fairy tales. But the California gold rush had left behind a wasteland. Or so it seemed. Because then, something unexpected happened. Out of the ruin, a new economy began. Restless miners became builders. Merchants expanded. Railroads were funded. Banks formed. And California, it became a state 2 years after gold was first found. Cities like San Francisco didn't just survive, they exploded in growth. But more importantly, a new American identity was born. Adventurous, opportunistic, reckless, and often selfish. The gold rush changed the United States forever. It redrew the map, not just geographically, but in mindset. But here's the part that gets forgotten. The real treasure wasn't the gold. It was the people brave enough to go and those strong enough to stay. So why does this story still matter? Because it showed us what happens when a dream is sold to the masses without telling them the cost. It reveals America's obsession with success, the myth that anyone can strike it rich if they just work hard enough. But behind every winner were thousands who never made it home. Families torn apart, cultures erased, land destroyed. And yet, this is a foundation some still romanticize. Maybe the real gold was the lesson we forgot, that chasing dreams without ethics always has a price. What would you have done during the gold rush? Comment below. And if this shocked you, just wait for what's next.